kids snap.
Well, they might have done if you put it next to the mic, darling. We'll say, I just touched Dan.
I get to touch him all the time.
The really funny thing is, I don't recall anyone coming up to me.
That's funny. It's a lovely school, isn't it? It's massive.
It's great.
It's like a village.
It feels great.
It's funny.
So I'm really worried that as I was going around the show, and you know when you get like, I'm worried that people were deliberately doing it.
Oh, it's so mouldy.
It tastes like feet. I love your jumper, but you need some more elastic in your trousers. You should say hello to Aloysius. Hello. Go on, try it.
I love cheese, but
No. You gotta try it.
No.
You gotta try it. Welcome to episode 72.
72.
Oh my goodness, this is huge. Today's episode is enormous. I don't mean in size. Don't worry, you're not going to be sat here for Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. No. I think Kay asked me the other day, didn't you? Have we seen The Hobbit? Now, did you mean The Hobbit or did you mean any Lord of the Rings film?
I meant The Hobbit.
No.
Is there a film called The Hobbit?
There is. We haven't seen that. Because we stopped watching them after we watched that one of them. And
which one was that? What number and sequence was that?
well, I think it's the first one that came out. We watched it.
Is The Hobbit not the first?
No, don't worry about all that. Don't worry about all
You
that.
can tell I've not watched any of these things.
It's like Star Wars. You know, if you started just to talk to someone about Star Wars who didn't know the running order, it's not obvious. So don't worry.
I just feel like I should watch The Hobbit. I don't know why.
You didn't say that after we watched the last Lord of the Rings film.
I didn't. No, it's just very long, wasn't it? And
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's either your thing or it's not, and it wasn't our thing. It's
Maybe
definitely
not.
my brother's thing, and I remember him reading
brother?
Dom.
Oh.
I remember him reading The Hobbit, and it's interesting that we mentioned Dom. You need to look out for that name in today's podcast. I shall say nothing more. Yeah. I remember him when I was really young. He had the book, and it had the most amazing cover. It was a hand-drawn map of the world where they live, and I remember it had obviously the Hobbit written on the front, but it looked like the most fascinating book ever. And I remember him reading all the books, and I watched the old Lord of the Rings film and loved it. And that was the one where it was animated.
Right.
And all the bad characters were human.
Oh,
so the good characters were animated and the bad characters were human.
I haven't seen that either.
It's really good. That's a really good film. But the new
I feel
one...
like I should read the book, The Hobbit.
You could try. You could
Maybe
absolutely
I should.
try.
Yeah, maybe I should.
But it's huge. And why is it huge? Well, it's very sad because we're going to say goodbye to favourite places to knit. And we're going to do it in the way that all programmes say goodbye to things is with a montage. So we will be ringing out the old and we'll also be bringing in the new, which is the crucial part.
We will.
Now, when we talk about bringing in the new, we shall start by bringing in a brand new section. Conceived, developed, in fact, everything in this section has been done not by me. It's been done
Oh, I wondered what he was talking about. Yes.
by the young lady to my right.
Young, how sweet. Yes, new section.
Yeah.
Can I say what it is?
Well,
No,
maybe not.
no.
Maybe we should just get ready for it. Get ready for it later on in the show. And just touching on that, you'll see in the background there is some Lions wine gums here. As you remember, we did What's in Your Sweetie Jar?
Yeah.
And we established that our favourite sweets were Lions fruit pastils.
Yes.
Have you reached the age where you mouth the words that I'm saying as I'm saying?
No, I didn't realise I was doing that, so now I'm just going to stop.
That was
I
brilliant.
didn't know I was doing that.
I remember my gran used to do that. When you used to have a conversation with my gran, she would be mouthing back the words that you were saying to her as you were
Now
speaking.
very
them.
old, clearly.
Stop it. That's so funny.
So mean to me.
Lions fruit pastils are no longer made.
They're not making them anymore. When Dan was in hospital this last time, having his surgery, we were texting one night and he said, "Oh, do you know, I just can't wait to get out and have some sweets. I really want some sweets." I said, "Oh, what do you want? I'll order you some." And he said, "Oh, I'd love some Lions fruit pastils." So of course I went searching on Amazon because under that category, Lions fruit pastils, it says this item is no longer produced. So, I mean, I did a bit more digging as well, and I just couldn't find them anywhere. So I bought
devastated.
Lion's Wine gums instead, which you've barely eaten any of. I've been eating them.
That's because I've the issues I've been having with my tummy, but they're improving, and I have been eating them in the last 2 or 3 days.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. But also, we heard that Fondant Fibre might be doing their first ever trade show.
We did.
Well, trade show's the wrong thing.
It's not a trade show. Yarn show.
Yarn show.
Yarn festival, wool show. I don't. Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
So later on in the show, we will be sending 2 intrepid and rather dashing reporters to go and see if they can find her. So don't miss that later on in the show. So it's good. And of course, we did launch a brand new segment last episode, which we've decided to call Wake Up, Carl. And this segment, it won't be like a segment. We will just, like we used to do. Do you remember when we used to do What's on Your Needles?
Yeah.
Wherever it's appropriate, wherever, we spotted someone who's... Remember, we said if you would like us to say hi to your other half, if you just head over to the... Welcome to the Bakery. Yeah. Head over to the Welcome to the Bakery thread and just pop in there if you'd like to say hello to your other half, and we will get to as many as we can over the next few episodes. I just wanted to start today by talking about what would be your ideal if you could create your own needles.
Well, the first characteristic I would want is a nice, long, tapered tip.
Right.
That's pointy, but not higher, sharp pointy. But I really like the long, tapered tips in particular. I've had some needles where the tip has been, it tapers and then it just goes like that, like a rocket. It goes like that and then straight like, you know what I mean? I like them to have a long, more of a like this than like this.
Yeah.
So a nice long tapered tip, pointy but not too pointy. Now the material that it would be made of, that's a tricky one because I like wood but I also like metal. If you could get a wood that wasn't too grippy, that was nice and, I suppose over time wood polishes, doesn't it, as you knit.
Shall I tell you what's interesting?
I'm not sure with that, wood and metal, not sure.
What you've just alluded to there is a pre-aged needle.
Yes.
And what's interesting...
A pre-knit needle. Is that a thing?
What's interesting is symbols in drumming sound better when they've been used for probably about a couple of years. And a make of symbol, Zildjian, brought out a range of pre-aged symbols. And people have been saying to me, because of course we are now many days into April and the Dan and Lara project is in full flow. I'll be talking about that in What's on Your Needles. And you gave your opinion. You said I should knit with DPNs. I started knitting with DPNs. And so many people have said, you included, they get slippier with time.
Wood, yes, because Dan's knitting with wooden needles, and they do get slicker over time. So that's true. I mean, yes, could you buy a wooden needle that somebody has knit like a great big garter stitch blanket with for a year? And then they'd be lovely,
there must be a way, just like Zildjian do with the symbols, of pre-aging them without giving them to someone to knit with.
We could just go around to Sarah Hepworth's
Sarah.
and steal her wooden needles. She's knit loads on them, Sarah. We could do that.
But there must be a way where you can simulate what's going to happen with them being knit with.
Maybe so,
being held in a machine and rubbed by wool for... Maybe there'd be some people
rubbing machine.
Maybe there'd be some people who'd like to strap themselves into that type of machine.
Yeah,
it's true though, isn't it?
Because I do like wood. I do like wooden needles.
So are we saying then that a pre-aged slippy wooden needle is your favourite?
Yeah, maybe so. Because it's got to have that nicely tapered tip, pointy, not too pointy. So yeah, I mean that's.
Do you know what's funny? Have you finished talking, by the way?
Sorry, I mean, we haven't spoken about the cable, have we? We're just talking about the needles at this point.
Yeah. I didn't say, what's your perfect cable?
No, you didn't. No, that's true.
I said, what is your perfect needle? So have we established what your perfect needle is?
Yeah, but then I do also like metal that's not too slippy.
Right.
I like lightweight metal that's not too slippy.
Right.
So it's because that kind of is like wood that's been used a lot, isn't it? It's a similar sort of thing.
Do you know what's really funny? So I'm having to hold myself back here. Have we established what your favourite needle is? Or your most...
Isn't there a wood that's really, really, really hard? I can't think of the name of it, but that's what you want, isn't it? So that it kind of feels a bit metallic, but is still warm to the touch like wood. But then, of course, it'd be prone more to splitting, wouldn't it, if it was really hard? It's a very tricky subject.
Okay. I can answer it quite simply.
Okay, go ahead.
My perfect needle would be grippy on the tip and slippy on the body. What?
You like a grippy tip
and a slippy body.
Have you got that?
Do you get what I'm saying? Because I lose more stitches, whether I'm knitting in the round or whether I am knitting.
You're right.
I lose more stitches from the tips than I ever do with the body. I never have a problem. I think once in my 2-3 year knitting life have I had something slide off the needles, but that was when it was in a bag, and that's because.
So, for example, the carbons needles, you
Swap
would want
round.
that the other way around.
Yes.
So you would want a carbon tip and a metal body.
But perhaps the carbons. You see, I've not played with those. Perhaps the carbons is too grippy. It just wants to be. It wants to be something that's pretty grippy, but not like glue.
Maybe you could have a metal needle where it's kind of. You know, for example, the Chiogo is more of a brushed metal and they're not too slippy. So maybe you could have a brushed metal tip and then a polished metal body.
Can you get needles with interchangeable tops?
Tips?
Yeah.
No.
That'd be so cool. How cool would that be?
But then it's the join, isn't it?
But you're telling me that they can't... I know about drums because, as you know, I was a drummer,
so
and there was a pair of sticks.
Tips we're saying
there was a pair of sticks that came out where you could change the ends.
You could have slippy tips and you could have grippy tips.
You could. And
you could have alternate bodies as well. It's true. I mean, why would you want the tip of your needle to be really slippy? Because that is where your stitches are going to jump off from.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So you do want the tip to be grippy, and it doesn't matter if the body's slippy then, does it?
The whole reason why...
Because once it hits the tip, it'll start to grip. This is brilliant.
The whole reason why I started this conversation, the whole reason why I wanted to talk to Kay about it was I've been knitting with DPNs, and I'll show you in just a minute when we go to what's on your needles. And the thing that's frustrating me the most is moving the stitches, not on the tips. Not got a problem with the tips. It's on the body. You know, and it's moving them around the body. But I totally get if I was to kick off using DPNs and I use these, they're so slippy, I'd have a problem.
No, I don't think you would have. These are Chiogo's, and
Right.
I don't know that you would necessarily have a problem with these because these are not. These hires, I think it's like they've got oil on the needles. I think they're incredibly slippy.
Right.
Whereas I don't think these are.
Right. So maybe I should try those on my next
I
one.
did say that.
Well, I think I don't want to affect my gauge, so perhaps the thing to do is to finish this pair on wood and then go on to metal
for your next one.
But I don't care about any of that. I'm telling you, if someone made a needle where the shaft was metal and the tips were grippy in some way, so that I knew I wasn't going to drop, and I'd have the circulars and I'd have the DPNs of that, I'd be the happiest man alive.
Well,
I would be Mr. Happy.
I hope all you needle manufacturers are watching.
Yeah, and make some, because I'll go and buy some. Now, the Wow Cow, of course, has started, and people are going for it.
I know.
It's great.
Brilliant.
Welcome, all you Wow Cow people. And the one thing which we neglected to say, but we're cool with how things have kicked off, to be honest.
Yes.
Is we meant to say where possible, and Kay did put it in the notes, where possible, if you could use European yarn or European designers.
Yes.
And I posted on Instagram that the easiest way for you to knit whatever you like is just get some Fondant Fibre. Because Fondant Fancy, everyone has that at a afternoon tea. So Fondant Fibre, Fondant Fancy, and then knit whatever you like.
True.
Job done.
Yes.
Well, I think you should ask me.
Oh.
Because I've just been talking
Don
about...
Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needle?
I picked up the wrong bag. I've dug this this one out because...
Gosh, that's ancient, that bag.
For
It's got
socks,
a coffee stain on it.
Yeah, I know. For socks, this is perfect, isn't it? It's the perfect bag. Much better. It's overkill. You know, there's no need to put a pair of socks. Yeah,
yes,
it loses
it's
itself
too
in
big
there.
really for a pair of socks.
So, what is in this bag? Now, of course... Oh, now, everyone who joined me for month 1 of the Dan and Lara project, which came out last Thursday, you joined me in my new Knitty space,
Very cute.
which people seem to really like. You will have seen me failing miserably, but then succeeding in using my DPN cozy. So look, I mean, how great is this? Have I ever cast on and knit so much as that in between one episode and the next? Look at it.
Look at that. It's lovely. I'm so jealous of this sock. I want to knit one. And
She does.
I do.
She does. She's always like looking over and looking longingly. And what was interesting was there when you were showing, you had out your metal needles.
Yeah.
And I was sort of looking over, and for the first time ever looking over, thinking, oh, I'd really like to knit with those. But she's been doing the same with this sock. This stitch pattern is so straightforward. It's so simple. I can't tell you what it is because it's from the book.
It's in the book.
It's the Stree socks. But what tells me that I've done the right thing in kicking this whole project off is people are posting finished projects.
Yes.
And they look great.
They do, yeah.
This is going to be so
Someone just
great.
finished the bootstrap, didn't they?
And
With the
I've Balbriggan heel.
Yes,
and
I've always wanted to knit that one, the bootstrap sock. So
I spoke at length last week in the first. I'm going to be doing a video every month. And do you know what? It was so
it's
cool.
Lovely. Can I have a little look?
It was so cool to sit down and do that because I think this is, I hate to say it, and I'm going to do this twice in the podcast today, which is terrible. But the journey of going from...
So nice.
I've never knit a pattern in a sock. I've only ever knit plain socks straight down. So
it's lovely.
I'm knitting a pattern in the sock for the first time. I'm using the smallest yarn I've ever used. This is Sport Weight, but Kay is very clever because she got a nice ploofy one. Ploofy? Do you like that?
Ploofy, new word.
Kay dyed up a special one for me as we I think it was in the outtakes at the start of last episode. I really wanted one that was similar to the one that I'm knitting for the piano, the Queen Mary scarf.
It's Queen Mary's rose, but zooped up a bit.
I wanted some full-on pops in there, which she's done, which is really great. And
it's lovely.
Of course, it's the first time I've knit with DPNs. And how am I finding it? Well, I like it, but it feels like hard work. But of course it would do because it's the first time I've done it. And I'm just hoping, I'm longing to get to that stage where it doesn't feel like hard work anymore. Because I've been knitting on this a lot.
You have.
And I've only done that.
Well, you nearly don't, because I don't like a particularly long leg. Usually 5 inches.
It's funny because we're over what she says in the pattern already.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? I like sort of about, if it's a house sock, a DK weight, usually 4 inches, but normally about 5 inches on. So you're not that far off, really. I think you're at about 4.5.
So for those of you who have never knit with DPNs before, why am I enjoying it? Well, I'm enjoying it because I can see the sock that I'm knitting underneath my needles as I knit. You can see the shape of it. It's like the sock is being born. Whereas when you knit on Magic Loop, I find that it just takes a bit more effort to imagine the finished sock shape and what's it going to look like. You can see the whole pattern.
Because it looks very flat, doesn't it, when you're knitting Magic Loop? You
also feel more like a proper knitter. I know that sounds crazy, but I touched on this in depth in the video that I did. And in summary, with anything, if you feel like, if your brain thinks I can do this, then that raises the chance of you doing it to a high standard. It's all mental, isn't it? When you try anything new. So if you're knitting away on something and you think, look at me.
Aren't I clever?
I'm good, I am.
I think a lot of people
actually has a positive...
Yeah, I think a lot of people do like that aspect of DPNs, that it looks very clever, doesn't it? And you feel such a whiz.
It's not that at all. It is just the fact that it feels really good, much better than Magic Loop. And the other thing that we've established through talking about this is I said to Kay that it felt like hard work, and we were talking about Magic Loop, And just think about the amount of times when you're knitting Magic Loop that you're pushing and shoving needles and sorting out cables. Well, there's none of that with this. So you're more productive in your knitting constantly. And then Kay said, when I get to the heel, that's when it just becomes so obvious that this is a really cool way to knit socks, because it's just straight
you
on.
don't need stitch markers, you know, when you're knitting the heel, and especially if I use 5 needles, so your sock is held on 4, and by doing that, it means that your stitch count is quartered. So when you knit the heel, you're knitting the heel over, you know, effectively 2 of your DPNs, and the other 2 DPNs are just holding, you know, your instep stitches. So mathematically, it works out. You know, I think it's a simple sort of logic, I think.
These are the Stree. It's Bakery Bear's hand-dyed yarn, knitting them on DPNs. They're 3mm. The yarn is sport weight, and I should be further on than I'm on, but this is my first sock. And of course, you know, I'm saying I should be further on. Why am I saying that? Because I'm trying to knit 10 pairs of socks in 12 months, which is just crazy for me, because I've only knit, I think, 4 pairs of socks in my entire knitting career.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'd be pushing it to do that. I don't normally knit a pair of socks in a month, because you have other things on the go, don't you? So if you let me have a little knit on it, then I could get you to that point.
Well, that would be pointless, wouldn't it? It's the first pair that I've done on DPNs, and the first pair I've done with thinner yarn, so I think I'm doing all right.
You are doing very well.
This is my ObiwanKnitter cast on. And how is it? Because it's yarn dyed in Europe, and it's Fondant Fancy.
Is the colourway name?
Yes, as we established, is a cake which you would have at a tea party. I think we should find out what Kay has cast on. Now, before we say the words, before we find out, I don't want to say, Della, if you could go and shout John and Zoe, because it's time for us to say, let's do it together, Kay Jones, what's on your needles? And this is your cast on, isn't it?
So, what did I cast on for the ObiwanKnitter? Well, I've started a pair of socks for Dan. Now,
have you just cast this on in between last time?
Yes. It's a new cast on from the last episode.
Amazing. And so was this.
Dan wears a particular pair of socks constantly, and the toe is nearly through on one of them, and it's been hanging by a thread.
Because the base is just not up to it.
No, the base is not. It's a bit thin, and it's a tiny bit sort of thick and thin in places. But I had another skein of it, and Dan really likes the socks because they're thin. They're a thinner sock, and he likes to wear them when it's a bit warm. So I thought, well, knowing that the yarn isn't the strongest in the world, what I will do is I will knit the cuffs, heels and toes in some Opal, because that's, you know, on this existing pair, it's the toe that's going through. I did put separate heels in, actually, on contrast heels on it, so that's probably okay. So I thought if I do that, then that's going to prolong the life of this pair. So I've cast on another pair, and I'm using, the reason I can use it for the ObiwanKnitter is because it's Fondant Fibre, and it's a special yarn that Deb dyed up for us for Dan's, was it your birthday one year?
Yeah,
I think it was his birthday. It might have been your 40th. That sounds right.
It was.
And she dyed up a colourway called Vallum Hadriani, and it's based on Hadrian's Wall. You can probably remember me knitting these socks. It's a couple of years ago now. And the base is one that Deb was trying out, and I know that I don't think she dyes on this anymore. It's a Blueface Leicester and nylon, 400 metres to 100 grams, and this is the colourway. I just love the colour. I'm sure you can probably remember these socks. It's like on a background of a sort of pale mossy green, very pale mossy green. And then it's got pops of greens and browns and a little bit of red. It's really, really lovely, and I love the colourway. And this is how far I've got. With the sock, I'm knitting it Magic Loop, this one, because that's what I do for Dan's, because I know that works best on 2.5.
Because, of course, as we established in the summer of socks, when you do DPNs for me,
they come out too small, yeah. So here's the sock. Look how much I've done. So I am through the gusset decreases and I'm on the foot.
When did you cast those on?
Not long ago. What
date?
After the 1st, obviously. But it's only the 10th today, I think, or 11th, I forget. And I haven't.
So I cast mine on the 1st, and I'm like.
I know, and I haven't. Well, I haven't knit on these for the last couple of days as well because I've been working on something else that I'll show you in a bit. I can see what you're doing. And what I've used for the contrast, it's just some Opal, an Opal solid in, I think it's the olive colour. So it's this lovely green, which, you know, when you put it together, they just go really nicely because it picks up the little green pops in the actual, body of the yarn. So this is the sock. I'll show you again. Whoops, you don't want all those dangly bits, do you? Now it does do. I've knit this sock before, so I know how the yarn knits up, and it does do a kind of swirly thing. Don't mind that at all, and it isn't really pooling. It's, it's doing, like I said, this swirly thing, which is fine. I don't like pooling when you get these lumps of colour, like a solid lump of colour here kind of thing. I'm fine with this, and they're for Dan, and I know he loves the finished socks, so I've not got an issue at all with it, and I'm just so enjoying knitting it. I decided just to throw in a little texture. I don't know if you can see. It's kind of like a tiny sort of broken rib that I've just thrown in. I tend to work socks quickest and I get most enjoyment out of them when I have a 4-row repeat, and a simple 4-row repeat. So for example, the Hermione's Everyday I really love, Blueberry Waffle I really love, because having just that 4-row repeat. I mean, 4 rows is sort of short enough that if you've only got 10 minutes, and you just want to do a few rows, that you can get a little repeat done. And instead of doing maybe 1 or 2 rows that you would do, you get 4 rows done. So your sock tends to go quicker. It does for me, certainly, anyway. And I've put in the Hermione's Everyday heel. This is 72 stitches and that pattern is 64. But you can easily put the Hermione's Everyday heel in, because I really like this garter edge and picking up from the garter edge. I think it looks super neat and tidy. So I'm going to work my way down that and, hopefully get this pair finished fairly quick. It's Father's Day in this country in June, so it might be that, that's my aim, to get them finished for June, which shouldn't be a problem at all. And I'm really liking doing contrast cuffs, heels and toes. And I also thought by doing that, I'm maximising this yarn, and I'll have quite a bit left over, I think, by doing that, and I'll just see how much. It might be that I can get a little shorty pair of socks for him out of it as well, because he does love this yarn, even though it's a bit on the thin side and everything, he does really like it. So there we go.
This is for the You're My Hero Cal. It's the You're My Hero Cal entry because it's for my hero, and that's Kay.
Aww.
The yarn is lovely. It's Malabrigo. I, of course, have my ball band, which is here. I normally don't remember to show them to you, but there we go.
Just showing off.
I am showing off. It's just lovely, relaxing knitting.
It is lovely.
And if I can do this, Carrie is Lars there. I know that Lars is knitting a hat at the moment. Oh. Carrie sits and watches with Lars. And Lars is struggling with a hat. He's getting frustrated. Lars, if I can do this, you can do this.
You can.
And if we can do this, Christina Hopgood's husband can do this too. But Lars, I love this hat pattern. I don't know what pattern you're knitting, but the bankhead, as everyone knows, is just great for a first or an early on hat. I've probably done about 5 or 6 rows since the last time I showed it to you, but I've been knitting heavily on the sock and also pretty heavily on the Irish coffee, which I'll show you in a minute. What else is on your needles?
I will do this one next, and I'll save that
one. Oh, look. Look what it is.
Yes.
It's the Harris
Tweed. I
think
I started a little Harris Tweed rush last time. Yeah, it's in my lovely Harris Tweed bag, which I've been using.
I wonder if they're all sat in the island going, what's going on?
I know.
We don't normally get this bust of orders.
I've been working on my scrappy Ollivander. And I'm really, really loving it. I'll show you where I'm up to. That's the back. So, look. Now, last time I showed you, I was just right down here. So I've done all of this. So I've finished one repeat, which was the end of the hedgehog fibres here, and then I've started another repeat. I love this pink. Isn't that pink fabulous? That's a little Skein Queen mini. This one stripe here is some yarn I dyed up. I was trying to get a sort of Buddy the Elf colourway, so it's greens and golds and whites. And then I've just started on this one here. I wanted some yellow, so I'm putting this one in, which is sort of yellows and golds. I think it's a Fondant Fibre mini, but I'm not entirely certain. But there's lots of gold in that one and a bit of sort of pink. So that one's going in next. And then my last, I think this will be the last one. I need to check my striping sequence, but I'm going to put in this one.
It looks very summery.
It does look very summery, yeah. This one is
Could you wear it in the summer, or is it too thicky?
No, I could wear it in the summer. This is a Knit Cosmic Strings yarn.
Right.
Can't remember the colourway name. Dreamcatcher. Would it have been Dreamcatcher? It might be. But I'm going to put that one in as my last sort of scrappy stripe. That's where I'm up to, and it goes. So it starts right down here. So it's like you knit it corner. You start with just a tiny amount of stitches, and you increase. And you actually increase and decrease at the same time to get this shape. It's very simple. So it's this kind of swooping sort of curved shape.
Is the hair
It'll be
optional?
one of my hairs.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
knitting. It's knitting. What can you expect when you've got hair as long as mine that needs cutting?
So do you think it drops out, or do you think you physically knit it in? And then it pulls out?
Oh no, it doesn't pull out. Hair
right.
drops out naturally all the time, doesn't it?
Right.
And then it drops onto your knitting and you knit it in. So that's where I'm up to, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I think it's a great option, if you've got a lovely ball. That's my main colour, which is Never Enough Time. Couldn't remember last time, could I? It's Never Enough Time in the plum colourway. So if you've got a lovely skein that you want to use and you've got a bunch of scraps, as most of us do, then I think this is a great way of using it up.
Even I have a load of scraps now.
So I know.
That's amazing.
So that's
It
my
does look...
scrappy Ollivander.
What weight is that?
Fingering weight.
Right. Is it?
Yes.
Wow. You see, it looks quite... Do you know, I have a preconceived idea as to what fingering weight would look like knit up. And that looks thicker. There looks more to it than...
No, well, I've knit this on 3.75 millimetres.
That's what's
just
making
because,
it a bit...
Well, it's making it a little bit thicker because garter stitch stretches enormously when it's when it's wet. So when you block it, it will stretch. But also, this yarn was a bit finer than the yarn I used for the actual pattern, which was a nice plump fingering. One thing I noticed, do you know how I spoke about the hedgehog fibres last time? And I think it looks beautiful in the shawl. But look at my stitches here.
Yeah.
And look at my stitches here.
Show everyone.
Can you see a difference?
No. But I'm sure they can.
My stitches in the hedgehog fibre compared to my stitches up here, I think these look kind of messy and these look nice and neat. And obviously I didn't do anything different. So again, I think that's just the yarn base, which I spoke about before and I won't go on about again. But I think once it's blocked, it should all even out nicely.
I think that's going to be nicer than the other one that
the original one.
Yeah, I do. And I think
we'll see.
I think you will wear that even more.
Yeah.
Than the original.
And I do wear the other one quite a lot.
I think the colours that you've picked.
Yeah.
Are really
and I've got
appropriate.
That nice pink going in as well. I wanted nice poppy colours, against this sort of dark background. So really enjoying that. And I knit really from here all the way up here in the last couple of days. I just got knitting on it and didn't want to put it down. So yeah, there we go. My lovely Ollivander.
Look at this. You can see at the bottom. And what surprised me about this cable pattern, this is the Irish coffee, and what surprised me about that cable pattern that you can see is there's only about 4 or 5 rows of cables and then it's just straight.
Yeah, there's not a lot of cabling.
And then you're back to it again.
Yeah. It's basically a rib.
It looks more than that.
It's a rib with a few cable rows.
On that one that you knit, it looks more than that. So it's clearly a clever cable pattern.
It looks lovely. I stretch it out a bit like that.
I can't too much though because
it'll come off the needles.
Well, soon I'll be able to. The next time I show it to you, I should be able to because hopefully, because my gauge is so tight, I've now hit the amount of stitches I should have on my sleeve. But I'm still carrying on because my raglan seam is still an inch short.
Yeah, it's not long enough.
My raglan seam, that's my raglan seam, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's only 8 inches.
The gauge is tighter that way, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't that a shock?
Not really.
Not really. But what's that going to mean about the garment? If you knit with a tight gauge, there's going to be more yarn on the garment, so that's going to make it warmer.
Well, it would make it warmer because your gauge is tighter, so it's a denser fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating when you start to, just doing the raglan seam, when you're starting to shape a garment, when you're starting to, increase for those sleeves so that you can then take them off and knit the body and then go back and do the sleeves. And I'm guessing the knitting of the sleeves, because they're so short, is an absolute doddle.
Yeah.
You just straight down, cast off, done.
There's very little sleeve. You just pick up your stitches, knit a bit, do a bit of rib and you're done.
Of course, I suppose you could choose to knit a full sleeve if you wanted to.
Well, you could, but then you'd have to work in decreases and everything because your arm starts bigger and gets thinner, doesn't it?
Wow.
Which you wouldn't want to do.
That can be on my next garment.
Okay.
Now, speaking of next garments, I do quite like the idea of, because this is, what would you call this when it's finished? It's not a jumper.
It's like a tunic.
Right.
It's like a short-sleeved tunic,
right.
I think.
I learnt something. I didn't know that's what you called those. On a man, an equivalent. No, it's not a tunic. It's a tank top, isn't it?
Oh, tank top.
Yeah.
I've got yarn to knit you a tank top.
Well, maybe I'll do it.
Oh, brilliant. Marvellous.
What were you going to do? Had you picked a pattern?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I picked a pattern.
Yeah, I showed it you. I just picked a pattern that had a really simple, quite a wide rib.
Right. And what's the yarn weight?
It's worsted weight.
Right.
I've got some Cascade 220, but you don't particularly like knitting with Cascade 220.
All right, well,
You've told me that before.
Okay, well, we'll see. It's going to take me ages to finish this, but I love every bit of it. What's so interesting about it is there's a huge amount of stitches which are just plain knitting.
Yeah.
So you would think, wouldn't you, that you'd be getting really bored? Or I would, because one of the things I found with the casting on the DPN sock and knitting a pattern is, oh my goodness, it's so much better than just knitting a plain sock straight down.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah, it's so boring to actually be able to knit a pattern and also see a pattern on a sock. That's unbelievably good fun.
Yeah.
So you would think that it would follow that you're knitting away on a huge garment like this. You'd think that I'd be getting like super frustrated. Well, I'm totally not. It's so cool and so much easier. What's your thoughts on garment knitting?
I don't think garment knitting is difficult. I wouldn't describe it as difficult.
You just don't like the size.
You've just got to have a bit of staying power and not get bored easily. I don't know that I would describe myself as getting bored easily. I think I just think, right, once I've done something and got past that challenge, I kind of lose interest a little bit in it. So like when you're knitting a garment, I'll get past the taking off the sleeve stitches and then it's just all plain knitting. I'm like, I've done this now. I've done all the interesting bits and done that challenge, and yes, I can do it. And I don't really want to knit the rest of it. That's kind of how my brain works.
And for me, I'm looking forward to getting the sleeve stitches off, because then you just think, this is great now.
It'll be easy.
Now I can just shoot down the body. That to me then, it's like, well, I've done it now.
I don't remember that there's any shaping in it. I think it is just straight down. I don't think there's any shaping. I can't remember. There might be some hip shaping in it. I honestly can't remember.
So that would be maybe some increases going out.
Well, normally what you do is when it's for a female garment, you normally do a few decreases and then do some increases back out, because that's obviously the shape of a lady.
Yeah.
Some garments are very boxy and just go straight up and down, and that's how they're designed to be. And then others have a lot of shaping where it's a very fitted garment. Yeah. So it just depends on your body shape and what suits your body shape, really.
Yeah. Needles, I think these are perfect for this.
They're wooden ones, aren't
they?
Yeah,
they are, yeah. And it's interesting that the whole conversation we've had I think because there's so much weight down here, because gravity is pulling the stitches down, when you're manoeuvring stuff around, it doesn't feel like hard work. And I must say, they're smooth as silk.
They've been used a lot, those ones. I will have knit, a garment probably on those.
I couldn't recommend this more, I don't think, if you've not tried.
The pattern?
No, knitting a garment.
I was going to say that the pattern is a bit tricky to read.
We've spoken all about the pattern before,
knitting a garment, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
But last episode, the amazing Gail spoke about, and I can't remember her name. Can you remember the name of the lady who she said?
Elizabeth Doherty.
Thank you so much. So maybe, does Elizabeth...
She just, and I went and looked at her garment patterns afterwards, actually.
Right.
So that might be the next thing
to
do.
So definitely, I think my next garment, maybe the next thing I should do is maybe I should... Oh, do you think Bryony would wear something?
I doubt it.
Right. That is, of course, the yarn. And it's something I've started to do, which is just, it's genius, and it's keeping me right on things. And you've alluded to this before, and you have lots of books all over the place with stuff written down.
He always takes the mickey out of me because I write things down like an
I stopped doing that
person.
about a year ago, and I started getting books of my own, and I've got loads scattered around the place. But I've been keeping really detailed notes on what's going on, and that's cool, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't understand it because your writing's like a doctor.
Well, I understand it, and that's all that matters. And, I'm just making a note, so I know where I'm up to on the amount of stitches on the arms, and I know when I'm doing increases, when I'm not doing increases, and then I just cross it off as I go. Now, that does bring you back around to the pattern.
Yeah.
And perhaps it would be nice if the pattern was written in such a way where if I compare it, say, to Nathan's piano, there is something there which I can cross off as I go.
Yeah, I do like crossing things off as I go, and I do that as well.
And on the Irish coffee, there isn't that option because it's just too wordy. It's too wordy.
It's very wordy.
But if you do this and you write it out, then you're absolutely away, and you do feel safe in the knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's something that I have to do with socks.
I think it's when you've got a lot on the go as well, and you put this down for a couple of days and you come back to it and you're like, oh, I can't remember where I am. If you've got it ticked off like that, then it's really easy.
Not only that though, I think if you're knitting something, and it'd be interesting to know what you think, if you're knitting something where, Kay said if you have a lot of projects on the go, but what if you have a lot of technically things going on within the project? So you're increasing on the arms, you've got a seam length, you're also checking for the amount of stitches that are on the sides, the sleeves. Plus you've got cables going on the front and the back, so you're working to a chart as well. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
The other thing as well is, as a tight knitter, am I right in thinking that if there's more material in there, there's going to be much more stretch than there would be if you were a loose knitter? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, because it's sort of more tightly together, isn't it?
I was just wondering if it had a change. I'm just talking here.
That yarn, it will stretch because it's superwash. Any yarn that is superwash, when you wash it, it stretches. Right. Just because of the nature of what
And then does it suck back again? Or
no. Well.
So you wash it and then it's always going to be stretched?
No. What a lot of people do with superwash garments is they will wash them. And then, a lot of people stick them in the washer, right? And then they would put them in the washer and then stick them in the dryer for like 20 minutes or something. And by putting it in the dryer, that does tend to suck it back again. Right. If you were just to wash it by hand and lay it flat, it would stay in that shape that you stretch it to effectively. Right. And a lot of people say, I've never done it, but I've heard a lot of people say if you throw it in the dryer, as long as it's superwash, just on a low setting for like 20 minutes, that does help it suck back in if you don't want that stretch. Right.
What else is on your needles?
Just one more thing. I've been working on my Easter sprinkles socks.
Oh!
Do you know the yarn that I dyed up? And I have since dyed, I think, 2 more batches of this.
Popular stuff.
Yeah, and I'm going to do 1 more batch of it for the patrons towards the end of this month, and then that'll probably be it for this colourway until sort of next year, because it is an Easter themed colourway. So this is the sock look. Again, I'm through the gusset decreases. I'm about at the same point as I was on Dan's sock actually. DPNs for this one. Oh, it's really pretty. I don't know if I'm holding that in a suitable position. But again, I've used the Hermione's Everyday heel because I just really like picking up from that garter edge, and the Eye of Partridge looks so pretty. And I'm just working my way down the foot, and I think the yarn looks really nice. It hasn't sort of, there's no pooling or anything like that because it's just very delicate speckles. Usually speckled yarn doesn't really pool. It's variegated yarn that pools, isn't it? But that it does depend how you've dyed it as well. The way you can sometimes tell, people often ask me actually, can I tell if a yarn's going to pool when I buy it in the skein? Yes and no. If the yarn has been reskeined, a lot of people reskein their yarn so that it distributes the colours all around and you get more of an idea on how it's going to knit up. Then if it's been reskeined, I think it's very hard to tell really in the skein if it's going to pool. If it hasn't been reskeined, then usually what I find is if you get a skein of yarn that's got sections of colour like this one, then I would say that's more inclined to pool on things like, it really depends on so many factors, but you know, your gauge, how many stitches you've got cast on, all the, you know, your stitch pattern, it really depends. It might pool on one person's, it might not on another. But generally speaking, I find that if you have sections of colour like this, it's more inclined to pool than if you've got this, for example, which is speckledy. So, you know, if you don't particularly like pooling, then you might want to avoid yarn that's dyed in sections like this and go more for speckled or just more, it looks more randomly dyed. But this one, because it's just little speckles, there's no danger of that happening really. And like I said, I'm through the gusset decreases and I'm just working down the foot. Really loving those. Very, very pretty. Pretty and Eastery and April-y, and yeah, lovely. I'll go DPNs for those.
Cool. You're done now, aren't you?
Yes.
Wonderful. So we heard all about this new yarn show.
Oh yes.
And it was quite close to us.
It was.
In a city which I know quite well and Kay knows quite well, and so we felt, you know, that perhaps this could be a show that we might get over our anxieties and maybe go along to.
Be brave.
And then we heard something else. We heard that perhaps, just perhaps, she's like those birds which you go out into the woods to try and spot because they never come out. But we heard that the lesser spotted Deb from Fondant Fibre might be making an appearance. So we thought that we should send, as we said earlier on the show, 2 extremely lovely roving reporters to go take a look. Yes, we have come to Leeds, haven't we?
We have.
This is the Spring into Wool.
Spring into Wool Festival, I suppose. Wool show.
Which we hope is going to be great because it really is our closest and easiest to access.
Yeah.
Now, it's at a school, which is right behind us.
Beautiful school.
Well, we're going to go in and explore in a minute and see what it's like, but we can smell a swimming pool already, can't we?
It's a very posh school.
It is, it's really posh. Coming in, it was like arriving at Wally World.
It was a bit.
There was like all these lanes going on and all sorts, but it's a stunning day.
It is.
So we're going to go in and see what we can see. Is there anyone that you're particularly looking forward to maybe?
I'm particularly looking forward to hugging Deb. She doesn't know that we're coming.
Deb who?
Fondant Fibre.
And in fact, the word on the street is this is her first ever show.
I think it is. And we didn't tell her that we were coming. So
She'll never do another.
I know. I suspect that we might give her a slight heart attack. I'm going to meet her and I'm going to squish her. Can't wait.
here. Now this feels just like a university.
It does.
I really like the feel of this place, actually. It's a great venue.
It is absolutely brilliant.
Now, I think, it's a kite, isn't it, Kay?
I think it's. Dan said, "Oh, look, it's a kite."
Yeah.
And he meant.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I totally meant. But no.
It actually was a kite.
Yeah, I know.
It is a kite.
I know. And it's the most common, isn't it? Is it?
I think so. I'm not entirely certain. I don't know that much about birds.
Stunning looking bird, though.
Yeah.
Back issues of Knitting magazine.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Neil, it feels unlike any show that I've ever come to.
Yes.
Now, it's not that I've been to a lot.
No, we've not been to that many, really.
But isn't it nice to come into a place and it not feel like you're in a cowshed?
Very true, yeah. It's in a school hall.
Which it worried me as we walked in there. It worried me in the size of it.
Yeah, it was small. It's small.
But actually, there's more than enough stalls here, as we're seeing. Now, I think Bryony might have a purchase of those.
Yes, I think so.
They look stunning. I like the little dogs. Are they dogs behind or what?
No, I think they're meant to be alpacas.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong.
Those socks.
Yeah.
They look great, but
socks look great.
I just can't deal with machine knit socks.
Oh gosh, honestly.
How do you feel about machine knit socks?
Well, I would wear machine knit socks. I'm not that fussy.
Now, this feels immense.
Yes,
now,
it does.
When I came over here with Bryony, she was absolutely thinking this was the most gorgeous thing she'd ever touched.
Very soft. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. And do you know what the maker does? She told me just a moment ago when we were looking round, she said to me that it's actually her mum who makes them, and her mum puts catnip in them.
Ah, very clever.
So the cats go crazy for them.
Yeah.
Now it's felting, isn't it?
Yes, that's felting.
So that's the thing with the needle that you jab in and out.
Stab away, yeah. And there's some people out in the sort of foyer, and they were doing felting courses.
We'll have to try and get some footage of that later.
Class, yeah.
Now, are you going to do some hoops, Kay? Did you see there? There was a basketball.
Oh gosh, can you
There's
imagine?
basketball.
Yeah.
Did you ever play netball at school?
Yes.
Was it horrible?
Hated it, yeah. I was rubbish.
I could never understand the reason why you had to stand still when you're playing netball.
Oh, I don't know.
Because you can only run, aren't you, when you don't have the ball?
Yes.
Yeah, whereas basketball, you can run with the ball.
You can only run, yeah, you have to stand still, don't you? I don't know.
Crazy.
I was rubbish anyway, as with most sports.
Is this the Alice yarns? It is?
Yes.
Oh, look.
That's lovely.
Now, she's from York.
Yeah, we had a little chat with her, didn't we?
Yes.
She was lovely.
Look, it's gorgeous stuff.
Yeah, that was really pretty.
I really fancied that. But I think that the problem is I'm still confused as to what weights I can knit socks with and what I can't knit socks with.
Yeah, well, that's fingering weight.
Now I'm off
and,
DKs.
Yeah, you're knitting sport weight at the moment, so...
So if I was to go down to fingering weight, what would I have to do? Increase my stitch count?
Yes.
Right. And that's the plan, isn't it, over the course of the year, to do that?
Yes.
So by the end of the year, I can aspire to knit with yarn that thin?
Well, let's hope.
Oh, okay. That doesn't sound very persuasive. You don't believe me at all, do you? I shall do it.
Maybe.
I shall prove you wrong. Are those crochet hooks there?
Yeah, they are. They're huge, aren't they, actually? They're big crochet hooks.
So what would you do with those?
Crochet?
You were very, very funny.
I don't know what else you want me to say.
But what's the difference between like? I'm used to seeing you use a certain size of crochet hook.
They just look really big.
So
I don't know why
that
they
means
were so
bigger
big.
hold crochet.
Bigger what?
I can't. I'd just like to know what I would do with it.
It's just the same with needles, darling. If it's thicker yarn, you use a bigger crochet hook.
Right. Now, whose is this? Now I think you're going to get shoved out of the way by that lady.
I think that's right.
We might need to come back here. Oh, look, there we go. It's Yorkshire
Dale yarn.
Yes. Now, I like the look of that one right there. The really colourful one with the oranges and the blues.
Yeah. I think I was looking more for bases that I hadn't knit with before.
Right.
And that was a sparkle base.
You see, that to me looks like watermelon.
It did look a bit like watermelon.
Can you remember the name of that colourway? Probably not.
No. I'm not that good.
Some very nice colours though.
Beautiful.
And lovely to see local dyed yarn.
There was some very local, stalls and dyers there. Yeah.
I don't recall seeing that quite so much before.
No.
When we've gone to shows, it's been more people from all over the country.
Yes.
Seeing
that's
local
right.
people
I think
was just lovely.
because this is a small venue, it's attracted people that are closer by, I think.
Is she in costume or does that how she dress normally?
No, she's in costume.
Okay.
And the poor lady, I never saw anybody round her stall, actually.
Well, we're around it. Look,
I
we're here
didn't
now.
have a clue what any of this thing... You know,
Lucy the Tudor, was that?
Yes, Lucy the Tudor.
So she's dressed like Tudor, like Henry VIII times?
Yes.
Amazing.
And that's Bar Mu.
Yes. Now, of course, we used to be able to go to one, but then it shut, didn't it?
It shut in Harrogate. Yeah, they had 2 shops, one in Leeds, one in Harrogate, and the Harrogate one closed. I think they just tried to expand too quickly.
Right. And also, I think we spoke about this before, but it was in the wrong place, wasn't it?
It was in the wrong place. It was out of the way. If you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't have known.
Now, how did that feel? You just gave that a squish?
Yeah, it felt nice, actually. It is a bit crunchy,
right.
And it wasn't as crunchy as some that I felt, but still I thought it would have been a tiny bit scratchy on my neck.
Nice to see, just at the back there, a high quality Learn to Knit kit. Not the terrible stuff that you get in the magazines.
Yeah.
Really good to see that. But the problem is, you're not going to get someone in a show like this who's learning to knit, are you?
Not generally, no, I would say. And I really wanted one.
I like those.
I really wanted one of those bags, and I resisted.
I love those tank tops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the tank tops, yeah.
Now, I Instagrammed...
I bought that one there, the one in the middle.
Yes. I Instagrammed a picture of those tank tops, but someone said that they thought I'd look like Frank Spencer in them.
Oh, that's a bit mean.
I think I could pull it off.
I think you'd look really cute.
Don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally...
Yeah.
We'll talk about this later, but I fancy making one of those.
Go ahead.
Now, I had a lovely chat with the husband of the Knitting Swede, and he asked me to send him an email, and I must remember to do that.
Oh, yes, he did.
Very nice man. Now, something that did happen while we were in here is, and I don't think we weren't filming actually when we were at that stall, so I've missed it, which is a shame. But that guy thought that you were looking at some yarn. And I was asking you about it for me to knit with.
Oh, yeah.
And he thought it was totally you knitting it for me, and I wasn't a knitter.
No.
And just shocking that even in a yarn show, still a bloke is assumed to not be a knitter.
True.
And I think that the Knitting Swede's husband was even a little bit surprised.
Yeah.
That's nice stuff.
That's really nice, and I didn't buy any, and I wish I'd bought that skein there that I had in my hand. It was really pretty. It looked like handspun. It wasn't, I don't think. But
I remember
it really
actually.
looked, yeah.
It's
really pretty, and I put it down, as you will see, and I didn't go back.
They are.
That's the felting. Yeah, they all looked a bit mad. You know, Bryony was looking at them, kind of fascinated, and I said, "Would you like to try it?" And she's like, "Don't know." I think she kind of get bored of it quite quickly. She's just not the right age, I don't think.
Now, we're a bit peckish, so we're looking for the canteen.
Yeah.
And I've heard that in the canteen that there's one of those really exciting tray thingies. So hopefully I can get some footage. Now, that's the lady who...
Yes.
She organised it, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, what an amazing job. Look, you're very excited now, aren't you?
I was excited.
Back at school. Now, is there going to be one? It's famous in these parts. Is it there? Oh, yes! Look at that! I get to use that later.
We were thrilled.
Oh, yes, I can't
wait. Yeah.
Now, she's spinning. Isn't she?
She is spinning.
That wouldn't be called handspun, would it? Or would it?
Of course it would.
Okay.
What's it going to be called?
Well, I didn't know if handspun
hand.
was done by the drop spindly things.
Don't be silly. Well, it is,
I'm
yes,
not being
but
silly.
When you spin on a wheel, that is also called handspun.
Right, so...
Dear me, have I taught you nothing?
Well, you haven't taught me anything to do with that.
Sheep on Mars. That's the
lady,
lady who organised. She's one of the organisers of the event.
Yeah, some nice looking colourways. And, you know, original. I think that's nice to see.
It was. It's just that the base didn't appeal to me. Like I said, I was trying to find unusual bases.
Buying one of those is
were
a bad
really
idea.
cute. I want to buy one.
I'm not allowing it.
Oh.
Now, this was the lady who was pregnant, heavily pregnant.
Oh.
And I saw an Instagram post before the show today.
Oh, it's truly hooked, isn't it?
I saw an Instagram post before the show today, and she was saying the baby better hold off because I'm going up to do the spring into wool. And before I got this footage, I just grabbed a quick chat with her, and she was saying that she's 4 days over.
Oh, gosh.
And she's big, actually. So I wonder if she's had the baby yet.
Yeah.
But she was there with her husband and her other, I think it's her son.
Oh, look!
You found her? Oh, my goodness. It's Deb.
It's Deb.
And here is the first ever fondant fibre stall at a yarn show.
It looks so pretty. I've got to say her stall was the nicest. It was the nicest, yeah. And I mean, just looking at the volume of yarn she had at the start, you know, we went back a few hours later and she, you know, there was quite a lot less, which is brilliant. You know, I really hope that she had a good time.
Well, I had a word with her and she said absolutely that she did.
Oh, good.
So I think it's great.
Yeah.
There's so many lovely colourways here.
I know, and I can see a couple that I grabbed there.
Yes, with your name on already.
I know.
Literally. Yeah. Oh, they're just gorgeous.
They are beautiful.
It is like a sweet shop. She's got such a good name for her.
I wish I'd had... Can you see those pastel ones there? Oh, I wish I'd got some of those.
We should come back in and get it.
I know.
No more. DPN holders. Now I can use them. I'm jealous of them. I do like that. Is that purple? Would you call that purple?
No, it's like a pinky sort of colour, isn't it? Rosy pink.
Men and colours never work.
Rosy pinky.
How many mints are you going to steal?
2 or 3.
Yeah. You're terrible. But I've seen them on all the stalls, which is nice to see.
Oh, mints, really?
Yes.
I only saw them on Debs.
No. They were everywhere.
Oh.
You see, you could have had even more.
I know.
You could have come out with a quarter.
I know, I could have, couldn't I?
I wonder if we'll go back to that now we're coming out of Europe.
I wonder.
Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, quarter of sweets?
Yes.
Instead of these grammage nonsense.
Well, I still don't understand what it is.
I don't either. Yeah,
I know what a quarter is, a half and a pound.
They're just not allowed to sell you a quarter of sweets. It's ridiculous.
Let's take a close look at this amazing stall.
That's my sock. What's that one? That's
my sock.
Don't look too close.
I love that base. Yeah, it's a beautiful base.
That's what I use for the snow melt count.
Right.
You say snow melt count, but it's not that. It's
the Helen Stewart one. Yeah.
Squish. Yeah, but squish them.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all lovely.
I'm not stopping you selling. No, she's only 11, but she just got taller than me. So, you're a really tall girl. It's a lovely school, isn't it? It's nice.
It's great.
It's like a village.
It's great. Can you believe it? Deb, at a show. And her stall.
Yes, her stall was very, very beautiful, and I got many things.
And what an amazing place, actually. It's perfect for a show, I think.
It is, absolutely. It's been fantastic. It's not very big, but that's been great. Easy to get here, masses of parking, facilities are really nice. And all of the stalls are lovely. Stall holders are very friendly.
Yeah.
We met lots of people who recognised us. And
which is amazing.
A few other podcasters, so I mean, that was all fun.
It's great. It's been really good. So I'm really hoping that this is really successful for them. Because, you know, so next year, hopefully they'll have it next year.
Yeah, I really hope they do it again, because we've really enjoyed it.
You must come along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should go back to the Bakery Bear studio and we should show them what you bought.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So, Kay, what did you get?
What did I get? Well, of course, we were at Deb's stall for quite some time.
We were.
She kept foisting things on me. She was like, take whatever you want.
That's terrible.
I'm like, Deb, you know, let me pay for stuff. She's just so generous.
She was very sweet.
Kind.
She said that people kept coming up and saying I had to come here first because I heard about you from Dan and Kay, which was really sweet.
Lovely.
She also said, which was quite funny, that she kept hearing people coming up and they were just chatting between themselves on a stall saying, I just touched Dan.
I get to touch him all the time.
The really funny thing is, I don't recall anyone coming up to me.
That's funny.
So I'm really worried that as I was going around the show, and you know when you get like, I'm worried that people were deliberately doing it.
That's hilarious. So the first thing, Deb gave me a couple of bags, just one to use as a giveaway, and then she said I could keep the other one, which is really super kind. And she gave me these 2 sheepy bags. Look how sweet! So one in like a beige fabric and the other in grey. So I'll be using one of these as a giveaway at some point. Really lovely bags. Thank you, Deb. And it's like a canvas. It's really, really nice. Really sturdy bags with like a leather pull cord thingy, which is really nice. So beautiful bags. And then I got some yarn at Deb's stall. The first thing I grabbed, she did some special little skeinlets. It was called Spring into Wool, as you saw the festival. So she did some special little skeinlets for it in like these springy colours, purples and pinks, and just really pretty. So of course I had to have some of those, because you know what I'm like with minis. It's terrible, like a moth to a flame. And then
There's more minis there.
Yeah, that's not Deb's, that's someone else's. And then I saw this yarn I just showed you briefly before, and I had to get it because of the colours are beautiful, but the name, it's called Queen Bee. She did this like collection of regal colourways that were named after sort of royalty type things. And this one, because it's Queen Bee, because we've got a Bryonybear upstairs, I just had to get this, and it's on her spangle, so it's sparkly, and it's these beautiful rich tones. Gorgeous. I'm not sure what I'll do with this yet, haven't decided. It'll have to be something for Bryony, I think. So I got that one, and then I saw this one, which is Cornflower Meadow, and this is on one of my favourite bases that Deb's does, which is the Austin base, which is merino cashmere nylon. And I just thought it was so pretty, and I saw a few people grabbing this, so I was like, yes, got to have one of those. So that's beautiful. It's shades of blues with sort of some browns in. Love that, and I think that will make a really pretty shawl or a pair of socks. I think it would make a beautiful pair of socks. And then the last one that I sort of, that was what I grabbed. I thought that, that's more than enough. And then when we went back at the end, I saw this and there was only one left. I thought, I really like that. I'm going to have that one as well. And this one is called Paradise. Look at the colours. It's pinks and greens on like a neutral background.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And again, I think this will make a lovely shawl. Gorgeous. So I got that one as well. And then, we were looking around and I found another store which was called Alice Yarn. It's aliceyarn.co.uk. Which is that. And I think she said she was based in York.
She is based in York. Yeah. We had a conversation with her about that.
And on the back of her business card, which I think is really cool, there's like wraps per inch. I think that's really clever.
There's also a little ruler.
Yeah. That's an inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so you can measure the wraps per inch.
Oh, right, okay.
You wind it around.
I'm with you.
And she had lots of minis. Her yarn was lovely, but I was particularly drawn to these little tiny minis that she had, and you could get 6, for a certain amount of money. So, look, I chose. Ooh, look at those. And these I'm going to put into my scrappy cowl, which I'm still knitting away on and really loving. And I just thought these would be such fun colours to put in. They're all different bases as well, which I think is really nice. Yeah, that one's really nice. That's 100% merino, but then there's merino nylon. That's merino. This has got alpaca in it, merino, and that's mixed wool. So, I think they must be 5 grams, maybe. Maybe a bit more than 5 grams, feeling the weight of those. So they're really lovely. I got those. We walked past a stall called homespunwonders.etsy.com, and she had yarn, but she also had, she calls them stitch markers. I'd say they're more sort of progress keepers. Little sets of 5, and these are all bees. Look, Jules, look. Buzzy bees.
Oh, they are progress keepers, aren't they?
Yeah, they're progress keepers with the, with the lobster claws on. And I just thought these would be fantastic, for socks and things. And they're all buzzy bees, like our own buzzy bee upstairs. So I had to get those. I love those. And then the last thing I got, we went to the Knitting Swede. I've seen the Knitting Swede at various shows and never been able to get to the stall. Quite often at places like Yarndale, it's so packed that you struggle to get to stalls, and that's what I don't really like. But this show was was much more relaxed. So we went to the Knitting Swede, had a lovely look round, and it was this particular base that I wanted. I think it's a John Arbon base that they dye on. It's 60% Exmoor blue face, 20% alpaca and 20% silk, 400 metres. It's the heather base, and the colour I got is mini rainbow carbon. I think the base here, this dark grey, is carbon, and then it's got a mini rainbow. I think it's stripes. I think the little mini rainbow stripes. And I thought this would make a fantastic pair of socks, probably for Dan actually.
Cool.
Yeah, so I was really, really interested in trying that. It feels it's woolly without being scratchy, and I just think it'd make a really robust pair of socks with the Exmoor in it and the silk in it, because silk's very strong.
Raises a very interesting question. You've shown everything you've got, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Kay just raised a very interesting question there, and I think that it's just worth touching on, and that is, when you put together a show, what should you be aiming for? Well, I think that Spring Into Wool nailed it, and the reason why I think they nailed it is we do not like, and I don't think anyone, if they're honest, likes the type of experience that we've had at other types of shows where there are so many people there. You're just being knocked out of the way. It becomes a bit like a bit of a bum fight.
I find it very stressful and not enjoyable at all.
I don't knit to be like that. It's like completely at odds to where knitting is for me. So to be able to go to a show, because we were chatting to stall holders, and all of them were perfectly happy with the show. You know, how's it been? It's been great.
And you know, the fact that we were able to chat to the stall holders, I think is a big thing.
The stalls were busy,
but not 5 deep busy. You know, like they have been at Woolfest and Yarndale.
And you know what? I think that what shows should think is, right, okay, what is our optimum number?
Yeah.
Not we need to cram in as many bodies as we can so we can make the most money.
Yeah.
You know, let's think about the overall picture here. And the overall picture is you want an environment like there was. You know, you'd walk around, there'd be little groups of people having a chat.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was, the whole thing was just brilliant.
It was. We really, really enjoyed it. So well done to the organisers.
Absolutely.
It was very well organised. You know, I think the fact the venue made it much easier to organise. You know, it was in a very beautiful school.
From my knowledge of schools
that
as well,
school looks fabulous.
From my knowledge of schools, there will be a maximum number of people that's allowed on that site at any one time.
For health and safety.
And I think that's a good thing. Because I think what that means is hopefully, because I'll be wanting to go next year if they have a show next year.
We will definitely go next year. And it was a lovely sunny day, and there was lots of places, you know, to sit outside and have your lunch. Or we actually went back to the car because the car park was lovely. You know, it was surrounded by lots of school fields. Oh right, you saw it. You know, and we just sat on the boot of the car and had our lunch watching red kites flying above us.
Did you see that red kite? That was amazing.
I think it was. I looked it up. I think it was a red kite.
So all in all,
it was lovely. You know, and didn't feel stressed. Very relaxed. You know, and we stayed about 3 hours, which for us, that's some going. Yeah.
We're normally running off before then.
We are. You know, normally an hour of that madness, and I'm like, I've got to get out of here.
And now I've got a little secret for you. I know a little bear who loves biscuits, and his name is Francisco. Oh. Yes. Kay's brand new segment. Kay, I think you should announce it. Maybe you should say what you like, but...
Our brand new segment is going to be called Biscuit Banter.
Would you like another cup of tea, Vicar?
Look! Yes, Francisco loves biscuits, and so does Kay. And Kay decided that...
I was sat having a cup of tea and a biscuit one day, and I just thought, I said to Dan, gosh, could we have a biscuit section, you know, a segment where we talk about a different biscuit each time? Because I think the biscuits you get in the UK are not like any other biscuits you can get in other parts of the world.
No.
I would say that's...
I think nations tend to have biscuits which are... You know, associated
some
with nations
don't even do biscuits. I wouldn't call them biscuits.
Well, we can explore this, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can help us in understanding what's going on.
Tell us, yeah. So what we're going to do is each time we talk about a biscuit, we're going to focus on a particular biscuit, and we'll give you a bit of history of that
and the
biscuit.
different variations on that biscuit.
Different variations. So,
But the first thing that we need to do before we do any of that is establish what is a biscuit
what is a biscuit?
and what is a cookie. So I have a biscuit and a cookie.
This is, what we would interpret as a biscuit and a cookie.
So this
So
is a
that's
cookie.
a chocolate chip cookie.
This, and I don't think anyone could argue that
No.
that is a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
That is not a cookie.
No.
That
That's a biscuit.
is a biscuit. And what type of biscuit is this, Kay?
The biscuit this time is a digestive biscuit. We've gone for a digestive because it's
Typically English.
typically English. It's the most popular biscuit in the UK, according to Wikipedia.
When did it start?
The digestive biscuit was invented by 2 Scottish doctors
Ooh.
I know.
Was it to help with digestion?
It was. It was invented in 1839 by 2 Scottish doctors. What they thought was, because the biscuit contains bicarb of soda,
I shall hold it up while you're talking.
sodium bicarbonate, however you want to call it, that's one of the raising agents that they use in the biscuit, and they knew that to have digestive aid properties. It's like an antacid. So hence where the term digestive came from. It was first manufactured in 1892
Wow.
by, that's when McVitie's started.
Well, I wonder if these doctors were initially making them and giving them out to their
Very possibly, yeah.
their patients.
Yeah, and then it
got
got
digestive
yeah.
problems. I mean, how amazing is that? 2 doctors in Scotland. We've got, isn't it funny? We've got loads of
Yeah.
people coming in with digestive problems. What could we do to help them? I know. Let's make a biscuit.
Yeah.
And then clearly people must have loved the biscuit, because then for a big company like McVitie's to pick it up,
Yeah.
I wonder how big they were back
And
then.
that's the packaging as you will see it in this country. It's very iconic. I don't know that the packaging has changed a great deal, really. The colours, I don't think, certainly have changed. So that's how you will find it.
Well, I'll tell you how the
in this
packaging has
country.
changed. Before they didn't have ends like that. It
No,
used to be
didn't.
flat on the end.
Yeah, and
you used to have a peeler.
yes, you normally have to peel that little bit around a packet of biscuits, don't
That
you?
was a much
partway
better way of
down.
packaging things.
And then
I bet you
now-
that was more expensive.
Yeah, then now, like this, you open them at the end. I kind of preferred it the other way.
Yeah,
But they
the
go
bubble.
into the biscuit barrel anyway. We don't keep them in the packets, but,
Now, the recipe has changed. I found this out. The recipe's changed recently, and
Oh,
it's
really?
all to do with them stopping using palm oil. Which obviously is bad. We should be trying to avoid using palm oil.
Yeah.
So the recipe changed very recently. But the thing is, though, there's no way that those Scottish dudes use palm oil.
No, they wouldn't
So
have
palm
used
oil
palm
clearly
oil.
was added. I'd love to know what the original recipe was.
Yeah.
I want to find out.
We'll be able to find out. But with a biscuit, you should always have a snap. Now, if you listen, did you hear the snap?
Well, they
You
might
know-
have done if you put it next to the
Oh.
mic, darling. There you go.
You heard it then. They're crisp. Biscuits should always have that snap, and they should be crisp, and crunchy, never soft. A digestive biscuit, I mean, what if you've never had one? I can't imagine there's many people in the world that wouldn't have had a digestive biscuit. But
Well, in America, when I looked,
Maybe not,
there
I mean-
wasn't a lot, and they said
you
that
know.
there was one biscuit that was similar,
Oh,
but
it's
not the
nothing
same.
like, is
no,
it?
no. I could only see one.
did they say like a graham cracker or something?
That's exactly what
it's
they said.
nothing like. I don't think that. When I saw the description of a graham cracker, I've never had one.
Well, that's the difficulty, isn't it? We can't comprehend it because
No,
we've never.
that's
But when you
true.
look at it, it doesn't look the same.
No.
But they say that in the States, the closest thing to it.
Right.
Question: can you get digestives in your country easily?
Yes, I wonder if you can. Can you get them? I
Let's
know a
see.
lot of countries have like European sections, so it might be that you can get these and you've had them. But they taste very wheaty, a little bit malty. I think there's a bit of malt extract in there. The best way to eat these, if in case you don't know, is they are the best dunking biscuits ever. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to have proper English tea, and you dunk your biscuit in. There's an optimum time for dunking. If you dunk it too long, you're going to lose your biscuit in your tea and you end up with mush at the bottom of your cup of tea. But if I normally break them in half, just hold it in for like, let's think, 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds, and eat it, and it is the best thing in the world.
So you can get different types of digestives from different shops, and lots of people do their own brand. This is from a leading supermarket.
Yeah.
And here it is. It's an oat
Digestive biscuits for cheese.
So, you see, I would actually have...
Yeah.
I would have cheese with that one.
Yeah, I would too.
Absolutely. But as we saw this and as we were doing the special section, we thought that, it's for cheese. So I've never tried this before. We should try it. Now, if we need cheese to go on this, I better get some, haven't I? Well, I've got some right here.
Look what he's got.
Here it is, look.
Mouldy cheese, everybody.
This is Black Sticks blue cheese. And I just had a touch a minute ago, and it's good. Just look at all that.
Oh, I can't bear it. I love cheese, but
no. You've got to try it.
No. You couldn't pay me enough.
Oh, I'll try it. Oh, that's nice.
Oh, it's so mouldy.
It tastes like feet. Do you know what?
I love cheese, but just not blue.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work? Is that one better? Because that's not sweet enough.
That is like eating cardboard.
Yeah, I think for sometimes... So I think
try a bit of that one.
I think you sometimes need a bit of sweetness, don't you, to counteract the tanginess of the cheese.
I find with blue cheese, you're much better off with a bit of sweetness.
It feels like it's doing you good, that one.
Well, that might be closer to that.
Crikey, it's very...
It's too full on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, that's it. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's very wholesome.
Seriously, folks.
Whereas...
Black Sticks blue cheese is stunning. Now, what do you need after you've had your savoury course, the cheese? What do you need to finish?
Well, now you see I shouldn't have nibbled that, should I? But the most popular variation on a digestive is the chocolate digestive. Now, this one was first produced by McVitie's in 1925.
Wow.
I know.
Would you believe it?
So it's getting on for 100 years old, isn't it?
That's amazing.
And it's basically a digestive biscuit but coated in milk chocolate. Very nice milk chocolate. Now, this one, you would struggle to dunk because the chocolate just melts and drips off. Really, really delicious. Again,
I've
extremely
dunked chocolate
popular.
Digestive before.
Well, I've dunked them as well. Yeah.
And I think it's quite nice.
So the chocolate digestive, and can I just say one thing, right? Look at the size of this packet.
This country goes on about obesity problems.
They do. And what do? They make the jumbo pack cheaper than the pack that's half the size.
And that's McVitie's being naughty because they want you to buy the big packet and get used to buying the big packet.
So that next time you just pick up the big packet. I never ever buy a packet this big. It's usually like this size. But it was 25p cheaper for the bigger packet. That's where, the whole obesity thing and everything, I think that's where these people need picking up on it. That shouldn't be the case, we shouldn't be encouraging people to get the cheaper, massive packets of biscuits, should we?
I've totally decided that in this section we must always buy the nationally, normally, associated brand McVitie's, and we buy one other.
Oh, right.
Because that is grim.
It's not very good, that one, it's got to be said. No, it's not very good.
This is awful. This is lovely. And what's interesting, Kay spoke about the digestion. Kay has IBS. I've had serious problems with my tummy.
Yeah.
And I've always, recently, gone for these. Yeah. Not thinking, it's a digestive biscuit on my digestion. Just that it's been nice to eat.
Yeah, and
so
I often
it must
have
be
just
good.
a biscuit.
It must be good for your tummy.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Because the doctor said so.
That's the chocolate one. You also can get chocolate, caramel, and then biscuit. There was an orange chocolate one we saw. So there's lots of variations.
I like the caramel ones.
I just like plain digestives.
So, nasty, nice.
Yeah.
Can you get them? Let us know.
Let us know.
We'd love to hear.
Biscuit Banter.
So, now, we've been building up to this. And I won't say too much. D. Sheevely grabbed Peter because I think he's going to like this. But it's time for us to say goodbye to favourite places to knit. Episode. We've enhanced it dramatically now for this episode. Hope you really like it. It's our favourite places to knit. Thanks, Kate. Yes, welcome back to our new segment, Favourite Places to Knit. And as you can see, I'm here. Here we are. Chatsworth House. How exciting. What are you knitting on?
I'm knitting on my sock. My cashmere sock.
Ooh.
In the most uncomfortable knitting position I think I've ever been in my entire life.
Yeah. Welcome to the Bakery Bears podcast. Yay! And yeah, it's a bit cold and it's a little bit windy and it's slightly boggy because we're walking on a very cool street called Deer Street. The first building that we see as we walk under the Tudor gatehouse, built in the 1500s, is the Great Hall there in front of us. The rector was looking for a river which was written into the script where Robin would cross and he would meet the merry men, the ghosts of sheep. Retired down there in Thirlby to the church where he got married. We're going to try and and of course Mrs. Pumphrey's house. We'll all... He was running there. Unfortunately, the cost.
We saved it till we were in our favourite place to knit to tell you all about it, and
But this isn't just Alnwick Castle. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? I hate using that word, but it really has.
it has been quite a journey.
The whole favourite places to knit thing. What was your most memorable, do you think?
My most memorable.
The one that stands out the most? I know we've established our favourites, but is there one that stands out?
I really liked the Robin Hood one.
Right.
I think it's because I loved that film so much,
Yeah.
and just be in places where they were when they were filming it.
Yeah.
It was really atmospheric. I think I really enjoyed that one, and I really liked James Herriot too.
And isn't that funny that?
Yeah, both of those were like.
Well, no, we're back here
Yeah.
because of course it was down there
Yeah.
where they filmed the bit, and it's down there. Well, no, it was down there where they filmed the bit where he broke down and we had to fix his car.
What was your favourite? Or most memorable? We shouldn't say favourite, should we? Because
No.
that's confusing.
My most memorable, definitely, was the ones at Hadrian's Wall.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically when
I
I
really
could go.
love those as well.
Yeah, but the one that I loved the most was when Housesteads had shut for the day.
Yeah.
You guys were doing bedtime routine.
Oh, right.
I went out with the tripod,
Uh-huh.
and I could just go wherever I wanted and
Yeah, that
film
was
wherever I
good.
wanted. That was really just lovely to do when you consider how much I like the Roman stuff.
Gosh, I'm
The
glad we've
blanket's
got this
blown away.
blanket.
Yeah, I know.
How wise of me to bring a blanket
And a drink.
and a drink
And a warm drink.
and a warm drink and snacks.
Something has been bothering me though.
What?
What are we going to do now?
I don't know.
We've been.
Well, we have.
We've been to
but-
all our favourite places to knit.
Well, we have, but I mean, there's lots and lots of places that we've never been, and who's to say that one of them might be a new favourite place to knit?
That's what we used to do before anyway.
Well, we did. Before we knew these places, we went to them for the first time, didn't
And
we?
isn't it funny how you just get into that circle of trust.
Well, you do.
And once
kind
you're
of.
in that circle,
It's like anything, isn't it? You stick to what you know, don't you? Really, and we do go to places time and time and time again, don't we? Because we know them and we know we like them. But
so are you
we
saying
should try new places that we've
that
never
we should
been.
go on a quest to find brand new favourite places to knit?
Brand new favourite places to knit.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Now, where could we go though? That's the
Could we
question.
go? I definitely want to do the Railway Children
Yes,
Walk.
we said we would do that, and it's interesting though.
And we've never done that. We've never been. I've
but
never been to
it's
that
not
area.
one of our favourite places to knit because we've never been there.
No.
So it would have never really fit into that genre. Hold on a
No.
minute. What about Tynemouth Priory?
Oh yeah.
Yes. 2,000 years of history on one site.
Yeah.
From Romans right the way through to World War II.
Plus there's a beach.
And
And
what
it's
about,
by the sea, we're bound to get fish and chips.
What about Brimham
Which is
Rocks?
Always a plus. Brimham Rocks, yes.
We could go searching for the Druids at Brimham Rocks.
Brimham Rocks is I'm sure it's a
Mysterious.
fabulous place. And I've seen that on lots of things
That
on
was
the
in a TV programme. But forget all that.
Yeah.
What book do you love? Well, actually, you've never read the book. What TV programme do you love?
What TV programme do I love? Pride and Prejudice?
Yes.
Yes.
Why don't we go to Pemberley?
Oh, Pemberley. Pemberley.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. This is going to be epic. With exciting brand new destinations. Come on, I'll show you. We'll uncover brand new stories.
There'll be lots of time for knitting.
This is the new adventures of the Bakery Bears. Come on! Come on! How exciting is that?
Are you excited?
That is, honestly, folks, we put so much into this. If we're going to say goodbye to favourite places to knit, we can only do so by bringing in something way as good, if not even better.
Way as good.
Yeah, it's
Excellent English.
my new English.
Yeah.
It's just so exciting to think that we're not going to be held within the boundaries of places which we know and love. We can look for stories and go to the places to find out about those stories. And in the course of going to the place, we'll find out if it has knitability, if it has interestability, and if it has picnicability.
Yeah.
And we'll score it for you and we'll put it on the leaderboard so you'll know which ones we like, which ones we didn't like. But it's not that we won't like them.
No,
'Cause none of the
we
places-
never not like places, do we?
Which do we like the most? What was so cool about the chat with Gail was Gail said in the conversation, well, there's only so many places and you must have run out. Well, actually, we sat down with the books and we've just missed. There's like this amazing abbey which we're going to take you to. And it's just up the road. It's closer than Fountains Abbey, and we've never been.
No, we're very lucky in this country, I think, to have so much history everywhere. I mean, it is everywhere, isn't it?
And the most exciting thing of all is to be working with my brother on the music.
The music. Did you like the music? I love it.
Go back and listen to the music after we've done our bit where we were sat looking down Ark and Garthdale.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do was I wanted to say goodbye to the music that we have been using and bring in the brand new original music.
So it's original music, and because we've just been aware that sometimes music that we've used you might hear somewhere else.
He's done the most amazing job, and it's crazy that I'd not thought to. But you see, that's the thing. Now being in the position where we can look at it and we go, right, okay, let's create a show within the show which we want to do now. It's going to be exciting. So many amazing places. And weather permitting, we will be starting in the next episode.
Next episode.
Yes, in fact, by the time you watch this, we will have already done the shoot.
That's true, actually, because it's Easter holidays at the moment, school holidays, this week and next week. So we're getting lots done while Bryony's off.
But for those of you who are worried about the treasure hunt, do not worry, because we will be finishing off the treasure hunt the episode after.
Yes. Sam Jones.
Yes.
What's off your needles?
Yes. I have something off my needles.
Does.
And what's so exciting about this is I was really worried about it because I was convinced that I'd really messed up and they weren't going to fit.
And they're fine.
But after the joys of blocking, look at this.
Yay, look at that. Aren't they lovely?
Perfect.
And I can wear them now, I've shown them.
Now, the issue I had with these is I cast them on ages ago, and I got caught up with other things, which was very naughty of me. I got caught up with finishing Bryony socks, and I mean, so that's just how long ago I cast these on. My gauge, I had some gauge issues, definitely. But
yeah, you had the same number of rows and everything, but one sock looked a bit shorter than the other. But, you know, I've blocked them, fine.
After the joys of blocking,
Yeah.
Kay has rectified the problem. So we have a lovely pair. I mean, they're great.
And it's the
Opal
Opal
Wintermonde.
Wintermonde.
Yeah.
I can't
So-
remember which colourway, but it was said before.
And I will make a prediction.
Yep.
These will be the last DK weights. They are DK, aren't they?
Worsted. Well, DK worsted. I think it's a thick DK, those.
These will be the last thick DK worsted socks that I knit till 2018.
Wow.
In fact, who knows when I will knit another pair of DK / worsted weight socks.
Gosh.
So that is my what's off your needles.
That's an announcement.
It certainly is an announcement. Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
Yeah, I've just got one little thing, but it's very cute. Hang on, let me just make sure it's not too squished, because Bryony's been playing with him like the devil. Look! Oh, I'm trying to get him to balance.
He'll go head first into the tea.
He will. Hello, little kitty. Oh, look how cute. It's the new pattern from Susan Claudia. Pattern? That was a bit Yorkshire, wasn't it? Pattern from Susan Claudino. It's called Kitschy Cat. Kitschy, yes. Kitschy Cat. I knit it with... I used 2 strands of fingering held double. Bryony wanted it to be a boy cat, so I was looking through my stash for sort of boyish colours, and I came across this. This is actually yarn that lovely Sally, this is the yarn that you sent me. Do you know the one from Alaska? And I doubled it because I wanted to make a thick pair of socks with it, and then just never got around to casting it on. And I saw it in my stash and I was like, oh, I could totally use that. It's the right sort of colours. It looks so pretty. It was the Alaskan Yarn, was it Alaskan Yarn Company? I think that's what it was, Sally, wasn't it? And I think it's the Backyard Pool Party. I really hope I've remembered that right. And it didn't use very much yarn at all, probably about 30 grams. So I've still got enough left to knit socks, and I will do that. And it knit up so cute. Look. And you knit it in such a way that you knit all the kind of appendage bits first, and then you attach those as you go. So there's no seaming, which is really nice. Seaming doesn't necessarily bother me actually on toys. I don't mind it at all, but it's nice, you know, to do it this way as well. Really cute little cat eyes, and his little paws are kind of, you just tack them together like that, and you can hold a little yarn ball, or Bryony's been hanging him and things. What did she call him? She called him Rupert. I've no idea why she called him Rupert. And I gave him a little bow tie because I thought that was really cute. Took me a few hours.
We should make him
A few hours.
his cat. Look.
Oh yeah, it kind of goes with a bakery bird, doesn't he? He's a big cat, isn't he? Crikey. It's like a lion, a pet lion. So really lovely pattern, very quick. You know, if you need something for a last minute child's gift or whatever, then, you know, this is brilliant. The only thing that kind of made me laugh was I doubled the yarn, right, because it's fingering weight, but then the tail, you had to double the yarn. So
They were quadrupled.
So I had to quadruple. It's just an I-cord. So I had to knit an I-cord with 4 strands of fingering weight. It was interesting. I did it and it was fine. It was an interesting experience. So that's my lovely little finished object, and it's so sweet. Meow, 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 meow.
Nice impression.
Thank you.
So, I think,
A needle pulling thread.
yes, I think it's time for the Endy Bits, isn't it?
It is.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Now, the fog run. Of course, the fog along is still ongoing.
Yeah.
We will be updating the knitters on where we finished at the end of March
Yeah.
in the next patron-only podcast live, which is coming on the 23rd of April at 2 p.m. on the private Facebook group, and then of course it will be published the day after for all patrons on Patreon. So we'll announce live then how far the knitters have gone, but we're absolutely flying, knitters. Runners, we've dipped a bit after a massive start. So we're still just slightly below where we need to be. But runners, I can confirm that as of the end of March, we have covered, I nearly said 7,127.94 miles. That 0.94 is important because that 0.94 got us to one of the coolest places on the planet. Wow. And I've always wanted to go here, but I'm never going to be able to because it's in the Lebanon.
Wow.
And it is Sidon Sea Castle. And Sidon Sea Castle was built in the 13th century by crusaders.
Gosh.
And those crusaders built a castle in the middle of the sea.
Gosh, how do you get to it?
It's
like a causeway.
There's a causeway out to it.
Wow.
And it is still there. You can go visit it. And I would love to go visit it. The whole Crusades period, I love. I've read one or two historical fiction books, but I've also read a load of books about it, about that period. So proper historical books. They're quite hard reads because there's a lot going on, but it's a really interesting period of time when you consider Knights Templar and Hospitaller Knights and so many organisations. When you look at the Templars and you look at the flow through, they fascinate us. So interesting. So Sidon Sea Castle, that's where we were at the end of March. So brilliant effort. Knitters, tune in to the next pop and we'll tell you all about where we are.
So the next prize we do will be like the end of June, is that right?
It'll be we just did at the end of
March, April, May, June.
Yes.
The next time we do a Fogalong prize, it will be a skein of yarn that was very kindly sent to us from its KN, arranged for Nicole C. Mendez to send us some yarn to use as a giveaway. So that, that's so kind of you, thank you so much. But then lovely Nicole actually added in another skein as well for us to use. So I've got 2 skeins of Nicole C. Mendez beautiful self-striping yarn. So the one that I'm going to use for the next Fogalong is this one. It's called It's Cold, and it's on her soft sock, which is 80% merino extra fine virgin wool, 20% polyamide, 437 yards. I love this base. This is the colour. It's self-striping. Oh, can you imagine how pretty that will be? I love the base. It feels very squishy, really plump. Oh, I really, really want to knit with some. It looks beautiful. So that will be a prize for the next Fogalong, along with something else that I will talk about when we get that. Right.
The Hero Cow is still ongoing, and it's running until when, the end of this month, isn't it?
Yes.
So it finishes
end of April.
End of April. So please, do you know what I have established? And it's only through doing the Hero Cow that I really am Star-Lord. Because this is a guy who loves mixtapes.
Yeah.
And I love mixtapes. First thing I did after I finished chemo was sat down and did a whole new range of mixtapes. And the funny thing is, I've just done a whole new range again of mixtapes after this last stop. It's funny. Mixtapes, ginger hair, fights bad guys.
It's you, isn't it?
Yes, it's me.
You fight bad guys.
I do. So Hero Cal, of course, I'm doing the bankhead. Kate is doing a lovely pair of socks. But we have some prizes too.
Yeah, the prizes that we're going to have for the You're My Hero Cal.
Yeah.
I've pulled out of my stash of Fondant Fibre gifts that she sent over the past few months. She sent us some handspun, so I thought, we haven't given away handspun for ages. I thought that might be really nice. And this is a merino sparkle. Gorgeous colours. Can you see this? Look how much sparkle there is in it. So this is some of Deb's lovely handspun.
And this is my favourite of all time of any product which Deb produces.
It's
I
lovely.
Love
she doesn't sell her handspun at all. I know lots of people go and ask her. Yeah, and she just kind of does it for fun when she has the time.
This is such an exclusive
So it's very precious.
Giveaway.
Some of Deb's handspun. So that's one prize. And then the other prize is the other skein of Nicole C. Mendez yarn. This one again is self-striping, and this one's called Craft Room. And this is such bright, lovely colours. Look at that. And that's self-striping, the same base as the previous one. So that's going to be the other prize for the You're My Hero Cal. So 2 prizes.
Before I talk about the Wow Cal, the next issue of Knitability will be out it'll be issue 2, and it'll be out at the end of this month. And the reason why I'm talking about that is I know we mentioned last time that Susan Claudino is in, which is going to be amazing. A long interview with Susan, but also long interview with Deb. Yes. Yeah. So she will be our shop focus, and she will be it'll just be so great. And you know, it's brilliant, really, a brilliant month for Deb for us, because we've never met her before. No. So we've got to go and meet her.
I think
properly.
A lot of people just presume, because we speak about her so often, that we knew her sort of face to face, and we didn't. So it was so fantastic. It was just so lovely to meet her. And
you'll get to meet her a little bit better as well, because in Knitability she's doing a lovely long interview. But the Wow Cal. We're in the middle of the Wow Cal, and it's just the business. It's just sprung into life, which is so great. So many people who've been following it since the start, and you know, it's really lovely. And of course, that is running up until just the end of this month.
And I did show one prize last time, and I've since got the other one. So the first prize was the minis that lovely Fatima had arranged, you know, to send to us from a yarn story. I showed you those. So there's that. And then I've also dyed up a skein of yarn. I said I was going to do that in the toasted tea cake.
Because of course, that's what you have.
That sort of fits in with the theme. So that's my yarn in toasted tea cake. So this is a base of like a toasty sort of colour with gold then thrown on top, and the gold represents the butter. You can see it there, look. So that's the butter on your tea cake, and then we've got speckles for the currants. Or raisins or sultanas. What are they in a tea cake? Sultanas, maybe.
And my question to all of you is, when Kay said gold, did you go, always believe in your soul?
I did.
You got the power.
There will be one other prize. It's actually a bag that's been donated to us, but she's going to send it direct to the winner. And the bag is coming from Ryan. She has the Stitch in You bag. Sorry, I was looking down, but I wanted to get the name exactly right. Stitch in You, as in sheep, E-U-E-W-E. Stitch in You bags on Etsy. So there'll be a bag from Ryan as well that she'll be sending direct. So thank you, everybody, for those.
And that, I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But
there's one other thing that I've just got to mention.
Okay.
But there's also the incantation socks thread that's open at the moment. Now, I did say I was going to draw for a winner for this episode, but there's been lots of chatter very recently, so I think I'm going to leave that open for another episode, just to give everybody a chance who wants to go in there and chatter to do that. So I will draw for the prize for that on the next episode, and that's the lovely Fondant fibre yarn that I knit my socks in. That will be the prize. So I'll draw for that next time.
Cool. So when we see you next time, we will be bringing you, weather permitting, the very first new adventures of the Bakery Bear, where we will be going in the footsteps of Hadrian. Now, don't worry. That doesn't mean we're going to give you, as much as I'm sure that you would love it, we're not going to give you a whole episode all about Romans. We're going to cover 2,000 years of history on one site. It's a completely amazing site, which we've never been to anything quite like it before. That's episode 73. I hope that we have set all your minds at rest for those of you who are really worried about favourite places to knit.
Yep.
I'm sure that we have.
Yes,
it's going to be just the most amazing thing. And Pemberley you can look forward to later this summer.
Yes.
And also there's another one that you can look forward to later this summer, which we're not going to tell you about because it's that epic, it's unbelievable. That is our international new adventure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else from you?
I don't think so, honey.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for watching. And we will see you in 2 weeks, for episode 73. But Bakery Bear's patrons will be back next Sunday for our Pop Live show, which I've already mentioned.
Yeah.
And Kay's continuing her tutorial series on the bags this week.
Yes. Oh, here's the bag, actually. I've done a tutorial on how to make a tea towel bag. This was the tea towel I used. It's Scotland, as you can see. Top bit of Scotland, middle bit of Scotland. So I've made a project bag and I've done tutorials on how I did that.
Okay, thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody. Happy knitting.
We'll see you in 2 weeks for more. Bye.
Who's it sitting and knitting? It's Dan and Kay, the Bakery Bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the Bakery Bears. take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or